Good evening, everyone. I am just so thrilled to see so many people here. I knew the weather was going to bring you out. It is so nice today. Um, our topic that we picked for this month was fitting, and you are going to really enjoy listening to Lisa Cruzy. Lisa has been with Council on Aging for 6 years, she said, and so she's not one that go out and work with clients. She's in-house. So we're going to turn it over to Lisa, and she'll tell you a little bit about herself and give us a presentation tonight. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, that's a lot to live up to. She said I'm going to give a great presentation, so I guess I better do well. And it all worked about 5 minutes ago when we checked it, so I hope that it still works. But as Pat said, I'm Lisa, and I've been with Council on Aging for 5 years. 6 years. I am in communications. I have been in communications my whole career, but the last 6 years have been my first foray, if you will, into the world of older adults. And I wonder where it's been all my life. I absolutely love it. It's a wonderful fit for me. So I'm glad to be able to share some information with you that I feel it could be very helpful. And I will start off with a little personal story. About 5 years ago, my mother-in-law, who was 94 at the time, passed away after suffering with heart issues. And as she rewind about 16 years prior to that, as she was being discharged from the hospital after her first heart attack, the discharge nurse suggested that she call Council on Aging just to see what she was eligible for. And she did make that phone call. As a result, she got a life alert button to wear around her neck and someone to come clean her home on a regular basis. And I have no doubt that those services gave her peace of mind and more than likely extended her life for a bit. So I'm happy that that connection is in my family. I hope some of the information that we share today leads to connections for you. Before we get into the meat of the presentation, I want to invite someone to talk about her experience with Council on Aging. If you can introduce yourself.
It's probably because she don't remember my name. Or she can't pronounce it. Hello, this is an honor. My name is Aretha Renfro. I was here once before, quite some time ago. I was invited to share a book that I wrote, Words from My Father, and you gave me a wonderful welcome, a wonderful warm feeling. So I'm here with Lisa to tell you my experience. I retired December of last year from being a social worker at a senior building, an independent senior building. Independent living means you're able to do everything you need to do on your own. You're not, okay? You're not. This is for Lisa. Being a social worker means you have to find resources that you don't even know exist. Lisa. My residents, I had 30 residents, and all of them were not able to constantly stay in their own home. That's what we all want to do, age in place in our own home. A lot of times that's a very hard thing to do. You fall. I've had residents fall, be on the floor for 2 and 3 days, have to go in the hospital. Very few family relatives. You don't realize that a lot of times as you age, your circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Also, your ability to know what resources to call on gets smaller and smaller and smaller. This was my first time at Friendship Plaza in Lincoln Heights being a social worker. Dealing with elderly people, it was a blessing and it was also an awakening because I found out that there are resources. You can get aides, come clean your house, do your laundry, do your dishes. You can get people to come prepare meals and bring to you, Meals on Wheels. There are services that Council on Aging told me about that I had no idea. So when a resident would come to me with, Ms. Renfro, I can't cook anymore. I don't know how to turn the stove on. Council on Aging. Coming home from the hospital, what am I supposed to do? A lot of times, it's just knowing that someone is there as a resource for the person that's supposed to be the resource was wonderful for me, because I had 30 people that depended on me for when they had a problem, and I depended on Council on Aging when I had a problem, and they are a fantastic resource. I mean, the things that they can provide for you are wonderful, and they do it in such a warm, friendly, I want to help way. I've never called Lisa and not gotten, well, I don't know, but let me see what we can do about that. Qualifications she helped me with, transitioning them from one position to another. A lot of them wasn't able to stay constantly in their own homes. I did have to transition them to a nursing home or to another facility where they would get better and more care. But Lisa was always there. Council on Aging is an awesome opportunity. If you have friends, if you have families that need a little more extra help, or information. Information is powerful because, again, being a social worker, you have resources, but there's so many resources out there that you don't know about, and I didn't know about. But Council on Aging was my best friend. I had them on speed dial. They were on speed dial. But, again, it's been a pleasure to work with Council on Aging. I enjoyed working with them. I miss my job. I really do. I thought I would just be baking in the sun, like, hey, I'm retired now, but now I'm bored to death. But anyway, but I really encourage you to listen, get information from them, because they have a wealth of help that they can give you. You don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to feel like, well, I can do this on my own. Sometimes you can't. It's well and good if you can. But if you can't, know that there are resources out there willing and able to provide help for you when you need it. Council on Aging. Thank you, Lisa, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Aretha. Thank you for that glowing review. Yes, that's right. I did bring my own cheerleader. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to cover today is the state of aging throughout our region. Council on Aging covers 5 different counties in Southwest Ohio. I'll get into all of that. We'll also talk about a reality check, our mission, our programs and services, and I will touch on caregiving. Does that sound like a plan to everybody? Okay. First off, I want to ask, how old is old? Okay. Good answer. There you go. Anyone else want to shout anything out? 95. Okay. 95? Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, there really is no right answer to that question, and there's no wrong answer to that question. And depending on who you're talking to and the age of the person you're talking to, the answer will vary. I just say that just to kind of get us all thinking. You can go with the age is just a state of mind feeling that we all know about. But anyway, just to get us thinking about that. Of the people living on Earth, those over the age of 65 actually outnumber children under the age of 5. And we really do not need the United Nations to tell us that people over the age of 65 are the world's fastest growing age group. So some more statistics, just painting the picture for you. In 2022, just a couple years ago, there were almost 60 million people over the age of 65 throughout the country. And that equated to more than 17% of the population. That percentage is expected to do nothing but grow. And in 2023, there were more than 11 million Americans over 65 who were in the workforce. So being in the workforce adds a lot of responsibilities. and things to juggle, so that can be a challenge as well. We are an area agency on aging, and I'll tell you about AAAs. We're known as AAAs, not to be confused with the driving people, but AAAs are your connection to information about what is available for older adults in that area. They were started in the 60s through the Older Americans Act. And there are 12 AAAs throughout Ohio and more than 600 nationwide. Council on Aging is AAA 1, in the bottom left-hand corner of the state. We cover Butler, Claremont, Clinton, Hamilton, and Warren counties. If you know of someone in another part of the state or the country who needs help finding out about home care options or just aging in general, the AAA is a good place to start. And you can find that for that area using the Elder Care Locator. It's a government website. It works on a county basis. So if you know the county that someone is interested in finding information about, then you can plug that in, and then the AAA that serves that area will pop up. So moving to Ohio right now, 15,000 Ohioans turn 60 each month. That was astounding to me to think about. Some more statistics in case you're numbers people. 3 million people in our state are over the age of 60, and that's 25% of the population. 1.5 million Ohioans are providing care for someone else, to the tune of $21 billion with a B dollars in care on an annual basis. As of last year, more than 1 in 4 Ohioans are over the age of 60. So that means you have 4 people in a room. Chances are at least one of them are going to be over 60. Reality check. Many older adults are not thrilled with their situation, but 3 things will happen. 1, we will all die. And 2, the run-up can be very expensive. And 3, if you don't plan, you might regret it. So kudos to you for being here to find out information about what life might look like and how services can help. Speaking of what life might look like, this slide looks complicated. And quite frankly, it is. There are many things to take into consideration when thinking about aging. Where am I going to live? Who's going to take care of me? How am I going to pay for it? How am I going to get from point A to point B? Not to mention, how's my body going to be feeling every day? How's it going to be treating me? The bottom line is 70% of people will need long-term care during their lifetime. However, only 30% of us think we will. And we know that 9 out of 10 people would prefer to stay home as they age, being surrounded with the things that they're familiar with, the places that they're familiar with. Council on Aging has programs and services that help make that happen. Our mission, our fancy mission, I like to call it, is to enhance lives by assisting people to remain independent through a range of quality services. What that means is we provide support for people to stay at home as long as possible, as independently as possible. So things like transportation services, home-delivered meals. We have programs and services that cover all of that. You can think of us as the front door. maybe we don't have all the answers. And we're talking about people's lives here. So there are a lot of different variables, a lot of different circumstances. So we might not have all the answers. But what we do have are connections to other organizations, other agencies in the community. Have you thought about XYZ? Do you think that ABC would help? We really consider it as part of our job to think outside the box and try to help with circumstances that we can help with. We have been an area agency on aging since 1974. We serve older adults and people with disabilities, including the people that care for them, in the 5 counties of southwestern Ohio that I spoke about before: Butler, Claremont, Clinton, Hamilton, and Warren. I will say that we're a nonprofit, not a government agency, and sometimes that gets a little confusing. As far as funding, 40% of our funding comes through county tax levies, 30% comes through Medicaid programs, and the rest is made up through state and federal funds, client contributions, and donations. Our typical client is over the age of 70, living alone, having multiple chronic health conditions, being in and out of the hospital, needing help with cooking, cleaning, bathing, dressing, shopping. They're known as activities of daily living, ADL. If you're not familiar with that acronym, that might be something to become familiar with. It's all over the healthcare system. ADL, activities of daily living. Our typical client is also low to modest income with medical expenses that come out of their pocket, and they need more help than can reasonably be provided through friends, family, neighbors, etc. I'll talk a little bit about our programs and services. The first one I will speak about is the Elderly Services Program. And we have an acronym for everything, so ESP is what we call it. ESP is for those who do not qualify for Medicaid. And let me explain what that means. It serves older adults who might not be low income enough to qualify for Medicaid. However, we know that 24/7 personal private care can be extremely expensive and might not be able to afford that. So that creates a gap, and that's where the Elderly Services Program comes in. We have programs in Butler, Clinton, Hamilton, and Warren. The program in Claremont County is run through Claremont Senior Services. Some services provided through ESP. I'm not going to read all these to you. You can read them. But personal care, home-delivered meals, minor home modifications for safety, think grab bars in the shower for stability. And all the way to the bottom, I will talk about the last bullet point is a care manager. All COA clients come with a care manager. I like to think of a care manager as a general contractor of sorts, someone to keep track of the services that are in place, how many hours a week, for example, that the services are being provided, what might be needed, and if things change, as we know they do with health situations and aging, things can be fine one day and not the next. Well, the care manager is the point of contact at Council on Aging. So it's nice to have someone to physically call and go from there. So Aretha talked a little bit about the Fast Track Home program. Fast Track Home is through Elderly Services Program, and it really helps people when they need it most. And that's when they're transitioning from a hospital or nursing home to home. Part of our assessment when someone becomes a client is an in-home assessment, meaning someone comes to the house to determine what might be needed, what you can do, what you can't do, et cetera. Well, if you're in the hospital, it's really difficult to have an in-home assessment, someone to come home. So what we do is Council on Aging staff go to the hospitals, and that assessment is performed at the hospital bedside. And once eligibility is determined, then services can be provided to help decrease the likelihood of accidents with different medications or OT, occupational therapy, whoever might be coming and going from the home after a hospital stay. Accidents can happen. But if services like this are in place, I know a number of doctors in situations that have discharged to home as opposed to a nursing home simply because they know that these services are in place. So that can be quite helpful. As far as eligibility for ESP, I'm just going to breeze through this because in reality, you don't really need to know any of it. All you need to do is know the phone number, which is on the brochure that's in front of you. Incidentally, if you didn't get a brochure, there are more in the back. But I will say, over the age of 60 is where our services begin. Needing help with the activities of daily living, the ADLs. There is no income qualification. However, some clients do have a copayment. Let me explain that a little bit more. Income is a consideration, and that is because we have programs for people who qualify for Medicaid and who do not qualify for Medicaid. So we need to know the income in order to determine which program is most appropriate. So that's where that comes in. The care that we provide, it supplements, it does not replace anything that's already in place. And we are known as the payer of last resort, which means if someone is eligible for a service through another entity, say insurance or the VA, then Council on Aging would not kick in. So that's how that works. That's how we're good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. So another program that we have is Passport, and Passport does include those who qualify for Medicaid. And honestly, without Passport, many low-income Ohioans would be forced prematurely into nursing homes. So it's very helpful to some. This list of services is very similar to the list of services available through ESP. What we aim to do is provide the right amount of services in the right place at the right time. And again, we know that needs can change, so our programs and services are flexible and can change as well. I'll talk a little bit about caregiving. When I say the word caregiver, someone might pop into your mind. Maybe it's you needing care provided for you. Maybe it's you providing care for someone else. Maybe it's someone you know who's providing care for another and having challenges with that. Rosalind Carter really said it best when she described all people in terms of being a caregiver. 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, currently are, will be, and those who will need caregivers. A caregiver is unpaid, can be just about anyone, a spouse, a friend, a neighbor, doing just about anything. Running errands, cleaning the house, preparing meals, going to the pharmacy. And we know that if people do not identify as being a caregiver, and what I mean by that is many people are just doing what needs to be done. Mom or dad needs to go to the doctor today. I have to go in late to work. And if they don't identify as being a caregiver, then they're less likely to reach out for help. Some more statistics about caregivers. 63 million Americans are providing care. Those aged 45 to 64 are most likely to be doing so. And 1 out of 10 US parents are also caring for an older adult. So that puts a lot of people in the sandwich generation. Is everyone familiar with the term sandwich generation? An example, I was in the sandwich generation. I had a classic example. A couple years ago, I was at work, and my father, who had cancer and has since passed away, but at the time he had to go to the hospital. Well, again, I was at work. My husband was out of town, and it happened to be my son's 16th birthday. And I had planned to take him and my daughter out to dinner that night. Well, I get this call from my mom. What do? Do I be with my mother and father at the hospital? Or do I take my son out for his 16th birthday, which is a pretty big deal when you're a 16-year-old? Well, it worked out. My daughter, who was a couple years older than my son, ended up taking him out to dinner, so it was just the two of them. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that one. And I went to the hospital with my parents. I don't think there is a right answer in a situation like that, but that definitely opened my eyes. That's the sandwich generation right there. So we have a caregiver support program. And that support program provides one-on-one support for caregivers. I like to say that Council on Aging provides support for caregivers in 2 ways. One, through this support group, support program, that is one-on-one specifically to help bring a sense of balance to the caregivers' lives. The other way Council on Aging supports caregivers is through our programs and services that can step in when someone's not able to. Maybe they're at work, or maybe they live out of town. The family members live out of town. So anyway, eligibility for our caregiver support program, it opens up a little bit from our programs. Either the caregiver or care recipient must be at least 60, live in one of our service areas, our counties of service areas. And I will mention that there is no age requirement for people caring for those with neurological disorders and memory disorders. Some other services and supports we are involved with: the home delivered and congregate meals, free for eligible adults over the age of 60. We work quite closely with Pro Seniors, who provide legal assistance free for Ohioans over the age of 60 through their legal hotline. I will also mention the Home Energy Assistance Program, another acronym, HEAP. It is helpful for income-eligible Ohioans to help with utility costs, which are doing nothing but going up. And I actually have some applications with me, so if this is something that you'd be interested in, see me afterwards and I can get you an application. It's through the Ohio Department of Development. We also have health and wellness programs, and we have workshops throughout our 5-county area. And these workshops provide tips and tricks on living with a certain health condition. For example, we have one specific to diabetes. We have a workshop for chronic pain, chronic disease, fall prevention. We offer Tai Chi, Bingo Size, which combines bingo and health and wellness. Now, if this works, there's a video that's coming up next.
Council on Aging offers a variety of free health and wellness programs for adults age 60 and over and their caregivers. Workshops focus on a variety of health needs, including managing arthritis, living with diabetes, and preventing falls.
I can actually not use my cane a short distance, but it also gets us up and at 'em.
Our workshops offer benefits beyond improved health. Participants get to socialize and connect with people facing similar challenges.
And I anticipate taking more of the Tai Chi classes. I also met some wonderful people. It was kind of a way to add a little bing to my day.
Workshops are held at convenient locations across Southwest Ohio. Virtual options are also available.
And each time we host one, participants always ask, when will you repeat this? They really value the content and it enriches their lives.
Our workshops are led by trained volunteers who understand the challenges you are facing because they've faced them too.
I am a diabetic myself, and it runs very heavily in our family.
You'll learn practical, proven strategies that will give you the confidence and tools to better manage your health.
It's so important that people know the ramifications of this disease and have all of the working tools that they need to become successful.
It is such a wonderful feeling when I see former students that have been through this class and they talk about how they've been able to implement the things that they've learned into their daily lives. A body in motion stays in motion.
Living with a chronic health condition doesn't have to be a normal part of aging. If you want to feel better and if you're ready to take control of your health, join one of our health and wellness programs. You'll learn something new and make new friends in the process. Visit Council on Aging's website to learn more about our health and wellness programs and to find a workshop near you.
So I put together a couple more tips. Just wanted to set it all out there. We can help if an older adult or caregiver is a fall risk, unable to prepare meals safely, do housekeeping, having trouble adhering to medical instructions, suffering from dementia, struggling to provide care for a loved one, in and out of the hospital or nursing home, or perhaps someone in a nursing facility, but they're able to leave with housing and support. A phone call to Council on Aging is the first step. I mentioned earlier that you really don't need to know eligibility. You don't need to know all the specifics. There are lots of ins and outs, and you don't need to get bogged down with those details. After you make a phone call, there will be the in-home assessment that will be performed to determine eligibility. After that, there will be a care manager assigned, and one way or the other, there will be connections made throughout the community. Our Aging and Disability Resource Center, another acronym, ADRC, is our call center, and that they have a wealth of information. They are certified information and referral specialists, and they're truly unbiased when they give information and make referrals. They can help with Medicare, applying for benefits. We have access to a housing database that's on our website. So there are many, many referrals that we make on a yearly basis. Again, when you make that phone call, you might be asked about your age, your residence, what your monthly income is, other benefits that you may receive, and your ability to do daily tasks. If you are up to going online, our website is filled with information. All of our programs and services are detailed on the website. You can make a referral, either a self-referral or a referral on someone else's behalf. We have a very robust resource directory with more than 1,600 resources, things such as mental health, behavioral health. We have a housing database. And you can sign up for our newsletter. You can get information about news and events, make a donation, and many of the printed materials that we have, brochures and fact sheets and such, are in our document library online, so they can be downloaded and printed that way. Well, I appreciate your attention this evening, and please, if you need anything, give us a call.